A very good morning to you all and a warm welcome to KFM VPN, that's Views, People and News. My name is Judith Atim. I'm your host. Today we are discussing a rather interesting issue, the issue of party tickets and their impact on internal cohesion, which is something we are seeing play out across the political landscape. Also, the Electoral Commission has been releasing its roadmap with activities like nominations for various positions already underway. This process of selecting candidates is a crucial step for any political party, but reports and allegations of voter bribery and the selling of party flags have cast a shadow on the integrity of this process. And the question we are asking today is, when money becomes a key determinant of who can contest on a party ticket, what does it do? How does it affect you and I, the voters? How does it affect those vying for elective positions? How does it affect the parties themselves? And how does it affect our society? And I'm happy to be joined by an interesting panel who will be sharing their insights on these important issues. Of course, my lineup today is a representation from different political perspectives, and they're also on the front lines of this political race, starting with Honorable Alice Alaso, who is the Acting National Coordinator, Alliance for National Transformation. She's also an aspiring Member of Parliament for Serere. Good morning, Honorable Alaso.
Good morning, Judith, and good morning, both our listeners and our viewers. I'm happy to be here again. I have been in Serere, positioning myself for Serere County, and you know what that means.
You look tired. You actually look kind of exhausted.
I have had meetings and all manner of things, but I'm happy to be here.
Wishing you all the best, of course, on this journey.
Thank you.
I also have with me Dr. Judith Nalukwago, Secretary for Professionals in the National Unity Platform Party. She's also aspiring for the Machindia West 3 councillor seat. Good morning, my namesake, Judith.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes.
And good morning to all our listeners and viewers. Today is a very exciting day for me, as I was nominated yesterday as a candidate for Lord Councillor Machindia 3. Yes.
How has it, Lord Councillor? Yes. So what's the journey like so far for you?
It's been a journey of course, joys and a journey of some painful moments. But I feel like it's just not politics. That's how life is. So for me, I embrace when the joys come. I'm very happy. I celebrate with my friends. And when the hardships come, I'm ready for them, and I take them on bare knuckle. So for me, it's a mixed, but I always look into the positive. So I always take the joys more than the failures or the setbacks. But the setbacks are also very important because I have learned a lot from them. I learn more from the setbacks than from the successes.
That's interesting.
So I am grateful that they also come and they teach me a lot, and I am happy to have mentors around me. There are so many people who guide me, and I'm happy that the older generation has given us that time to invest in us in terms of knowledge, in terms of time, and we are not going to make some mistakes because they have been there for us. They've told us, no, don't do this because it will lead to this. So that is what is exciting about this journey.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Like I told you, it is a full house today, and different political shades are represented. My other guest just walked in. Honorable Richard Lumu, Member of Parliament for Mityana South and a member of the Democratic Party. I give you a minute to catch your breath.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll say hello later.
It's proper.
Yeah, I know the stairs can do a number on you.
Yeah.
But it also helps to test your fitness levels.
I don't know whether I'm fit or not.
Now you know. You have the answer. You know the truth. You don't want to admit it.
Because walking up the stairs here is a challenge.
That tells you have to be doing something. You're sitting in the car a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, good to have you on the show.
Yeah. Now, good morning, listeners. Yes, I've been going upstairs here, but I have managed somehow. and I have reached here safely. So good morning, I'm here, and I'm very happy to see my sister here.
Thank you.
And
your other sister also.
My other sister. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So very quickly, just the highlights of the week. Of course, since Monday, some of the politicians who were denied party tickets in the National Unity Platform Party, Dr. Judith, that's your party. They've joined other parties like the People Front for Freedom and the Democratic Front, where they have also joined the race for flag bearers. Others have begun contesting as independents, and this has caused some acrimony amongst members of these political parties, especially on the basis of party loyalty, with accusations of self-centered leadership amongst the disgruntled political aspirants. And today's conversation is also derived from matters happening internally in the parties, and that's why we have you people here. And also on Wednesday, the Electoral Commission commenced nomination of candidates for various local government positions across Uganda for those seeking participation in the 2025-2026 general elections. Yesterday, the Commission concluded the first phase with nominations for district and city chairpersons, councillors, and representatives of special interest groups at district returning officers' offices. And from Monday next week until Wednesday, nominations will be for municipality and city division chairpersons as well as councillors. And also, so far, we have for the Kampala Lord mayoral seat or race, we have 6 people who've been successfully nominated. From the National Unity Platform Party, we have Engineer Ronald Balimwezo. From the People's Front for Freedom, we have the incumbent Lord Mayor, that's Arias Lukwago. From the Forum for Democratic Change, the nominee for the Kampala Lord mayoral seat is former Machindia East MP Ibrahim Kasozi. From the NRM corner, we have Kizito Moses Nsubuga. We also have former Kampala woman MP Nabila Nagai showing up for the race as an independent candidate. And last but not least, we have Mrs. Beatrice Mao also throwing her hat in the ring, and she's contesting on the DP ticket. So 2 ladies, 4 men vying for the Kampala Lord mayoral seat. And in sports, yesterday the Uganda Cranes beat Mozambique 4-0 in the World Cup qualifiers, putting Uganda in second place in Group G behind Algeria. Algeria is top of the group, of course, with 18 points. Uganda ties in with Mozambique at 12 points. And the same group has Guinea in 4th place with 10 points. Botswana has 9 points in 5th place, and Somalia comes in last with 1 point. Uganda plays Somalia on Monday at Nambole Stadium, and of course we're rooting for the Cranes as always. So with that, let me also introduce my final guest, Engineer Ian Cheyune, NRM flag bearer for the Wakiso District Chairperson race. A warm welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Another pleasure to find you still baking.
You're going to become, you'll start hosting this show very soon. You'll be rotating. You, Honorable Richard, so Judith, you're still new, so we're going to give you time.
Active politics. I think that's what should take you away. Otherwise, you are the best. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank God for giving me an opportunity to discuss with very important people here.
Thank you. Madam,
the long, well-known politician from Teso.
Thank you.
She's one of the people we admire.
That's nice
and
to hear.
I think the rest we are going to discuss in the best way possible. Otherwise, I thank you all for always giving us an opportunity.
Thank you very much. So just your quick thoughts, very quick reactions on the issues of the week. Of course, you can talk about sports as well. It's a big deal for us. I mean, it's the one thing that also brings cheer and unites the country, especially in a season like we're in, a highly contested political season. So very quickly, I'll start with you, Judith. You're the youngest in the room.
I'm very happy to be the youngest in the room, to be amidst my elders. It's very exciting because, of course, there's a lot to learn from them. Also from me, because I'm in the Gen Z generation. There's a lot they can learn from us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So here as a NEC member of National Unity Platform, of course, let me talk about, first of all, I'm so happy with what has happened with the Uganda Cranes. A former sports person. I used to play lawn tennis for the national team. Moreover. Yes, and I really traveled a lot because of lawn tennis. So for me, when I used to go out and I look at these stars whom I'm seeing now on national television, whom we played with in university games, of course they used to smash us. They used to beat us so badly. But now they're on international television. They're making millions and millions of money. First of all, it makes me so emotional. Like, I am happy for them. But at the same time, when I look at where our talent is, where our development is, I get sad. So when the Ugandan cranes do what they're doing, it makes me so happy. I'm one person who will buy a ticket and not even go. Not because I don't want to go, but I don't have the time, but I want to contribute. Yes, I'm that kind of a person. So as a young person, there's a lot of potential. You know, if 78% of the population is below 35 years, that means the areas we have to invest in, like sports. There's a lot of income generation in sports. You look at those countries and the soccer players are getting $300,000 per week. And you're like, if we, a young population, did that, invested in sports, how much more would our people be uplifted? So for me, it's very exciting, and I am so happy that we are reaching those milestones. I just pray that the government, or when my government comes into power of the National Unity Platform, those are one of the areas, because we are youth-led, those are one of the areas we want to invest in, and I am happy to be on NEC. Such proposals, I can put them to NEC as a young person. So moving forward, we've seen this week and last week, we gave out our party tickets. And we've had a lot of grievances here and there, which is a normal thing. In a society where there are two or more people, you expect there has to be conflict. The difference is, how do you resolve the conflict? That is expected. So as a party, of course, we had so many candidates vying for like the same position. You have to choose your best striker. I am an Arsenal supporter. When Arsenal loses, for the past Premier Leagues, we've been number 2. And I've always been hurt. And I'm like, why? We are a very good soccer team. For me, I feel like we are better than all the teams, even those that have gotten trophies in the past season. Why aren't we getting the trophy? But, you know, sometimes when there is that crucial match, there is a player or there is a team that plays better than you in that crucial match. That one match like this is what makes a difference. So to my other people who didn't get the flags, it's not that you're bad candidates. It's not that you're not good leaders. All of them are good leaders. It's just that maybe that one crucial point or that one crucial moment is what separated you with this person who got the flag. But for me, and that is the challenge we got as a party, that we had so many people vying for this post, but we have to choose one. It's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity, because it shows that the party has grown. I mean, we are just 5 years into this politics, and see where we are. You're having 20 people vying for the same position. It means that we are growing as a party, and we are excited for that growth. But then what happens? If these people have grievances, some have decided to cross to other parties, some have decided to remain home and do nothing, while some have come out like, no, you've not given me the party ticket, I'm going to support the flag bearer, I'm going to support the president, so that we move forward. So for me, my belief is, as a member of this party, National Unity Platform, what brings you to the party, if it's what brought you to this struggle, is very weak. That means what is going to take you away from the struggle is going to even be weaker. Because we came onto this stage as an opposition party, just like other opposition parties. Honorable Alisa Aleso is going to tell you, we didn't come to just attain positions. We came to change the status quo of the country. You know the challenges we are facing. I've talked to you about the sports challenges. We have challenges of infrastructure, that is roads, public transport. We have challenges of youth unemployment. The NDP report says that almost 5.5 million Ugandans between the age of 18 to 30, they are seated at home with no employment. You can imagine. So for us, that is what we came to address, to fight that. Even if we are not in government, we have to push that the government does that. But when we get into government, we are going to, because we have the state resources, we are going to implement that such challenges
address. Yes. Thank you, Judith. I'm coming to you again. Honorable Alisa Aleso, your very quick thoughts, of course, on the stories, the issues of the week, but also, if I may, I would also like to hear your thoughts about the Kampala mayoral nominees, if you have something to say about that.
Thank you very much, Judith. And it's really good for me to be here meeting all this panel. I haven't met Engineer Chiune for a long time, and I'm just happy to meet him, to meet Dr. Judith. I always admire this young lady. With Honorable Lumu, we know how to touch base anyway. So I'm happy to be here. There are a number of things. Of course, the only team I know on planet Earth is the Cranes, and it is my team, and for them I don't go to bed. If I have not gone to Nambole, then I don't go to bed until the final whistle is blown. So I am very happy. If subscription is cut on the day they play, I will pay for that subscription. So I'm very excited. I think FUFA has done one thing that makes me happy. Truly now the Cranes have a national character. Secondly, for me, they are very youthful young people. When you watch them, you really know, okay, we have a future in football. Thirdly, I think I want to urge government. This thing of not helping the Cranes during their training, investing a lot on them, and then waiting and then shouting, you're giving them 1 billion when they are going to play, it doesn't help. I know the boys need that money. They need that gift. But to be honest, let's invest more for them during the training. It's like a parent. You don't buy your child books.
Right from talent identification. Yeah.
Then you wait and say, but if you pass that exam, I'm going to take you to the best school. So that's where we are. And then before I comment on the mayoral race, let me touch on two other things. The electoral roadmap. The Electoral Commission has really complicated our lives in the sense that they give us a presidential nomination roadmap. But then they have sent a message also to us in the same roadmap saying you bring the nomination forms 2 weeks before the day of nomination. Effectively, they have cut even the remaining, I think it was supposed to be, I don't know how many days, less than 90 for collecting signatures. Now again, they have removed 14. They say bring them earlier so that we begin to. So it's making it very hard. And you know the way they create districts in Uganda. You wake up and there is this district. Before you know, there is another district. Before you even assign a coordinator there, they have created another district. So they are making our lives very hard. Of course, yesterday we had some really unpalatable experiences, but we intend to appeal to the Electoral Commission because those things happened with the registrars there. The registrar in, for instance, Luca, just during the process of vetting our candidate, simply says now it is time up and closes the process when they were already taking signatures and says the person is not nominated. So those are the kind of things we saw, but it is well. Those things can be, I believe, handled. When Honorable Lumu walked up here panting, it reminded me of a thing, and I really want to use this opportunity to appeal. Last week I was also in Makerere and I witnessed the same thing. People who are putting up buildings and public buildings, please think about persons with disability. Honorable Lumu is not one of them. But I met a student on crutches going up in one of the modern buildings in Makerere. And he was on 2 crutches, climbing a step and another step. And it really pained me. I watched that boy with pain. And I think we have to become disability sensitive in the way we plan our public buildings. I think that engineers and people in charge of buildings in this country should not approve any more buildings without a provision for an elevator or a provision for access for persons with disability. Lastly, the mayoral race. Yeah, all these people, I think all the people who have been nominated, a majority of them are competent. Maybe I shouldn't say all, but a majority of them are competent. But from the opposition perspective, really it's now going to present a very big challenge because our thinking has been that we need to have a majority that helps us to ensure that the NRM doesn't take charge of the city. Now with Elias Lukwago, Honorable, Engineer Balimwiso, Honorable, Ibrahim Kasozi, Honorable, Nabila Nagai, Honorable, and so on and so forth. I can only appeal to the residents of the city to now become the filter to help this city find one suitable candidate, because apparently now we in the opposition, we've decided to really split ourselves and become 5 or 6 different teams. It's going to be very confusing, and it's going to create a very tight race, because we divide ourselves into 5 and hand over to Engineer Cheyune without him putting up a fight. And we really want to fight to maintain leadership so that they are checked. Engineer Cheyune, the NRM, already has a minister in charge of Kampala. So we would like to retain the political leadership, and then you maintain the technical and you maintain the oversight. But now to hand over totally to you, that would be a
your party, ANC, has a memorandum of understanding with PFF. Are you saying you're throwing your weight behind the incumbent, Elias Lukwago?
Yeah, we have a memorandum. We've gone on harmonization. That is why we don't even have anybody nominated with a bulb. Yeah.
Okay.
So based on that memorandum, first our candidate is the PFF candidate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but I think that what is now going to be important for those who will make a decision in the city, it has to be based on the outlook, the plan. What do we plan for this Kampala? What is the strategy and what is the approach that will make Kampala a better city for all of us?
All right, thank you. Honorable Lumu. Yes, very quickly, your thoughts, Andrew.
First of all, I want to congratulate the Uganda Cranes for that achievement. It was worth an achievement to talk about. Secondly, I want to congratulate Honorable Magogo. He's the president of FUFA. At least other than him and Bidandi Sali, when they were presidents of FUFA, we had not achieved too much. But now there is something to talk about. So it would be unfair for us not to congratulate them and actually to appreciate their efforts, those two. Because I am sure Uganda went up to the finals in Ghana. I think the either manager or president of the football body by then was Bidandi Sali. The next time we are there, it is Magogo on a stage where we can be talked about. I'm very proud of such an achievement. On politics, I didn't know that engineer is coming back.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, I'm just getting informed today. At least I pass by Wachiso, all in Wachiso district every other day, but I have not taken note of the posters. Maybe there are so many that sometimes you even fail to see who is who. But anyway, since you are back, let's wait and see when we are in the playground of the politics. For politics, for the young ones, I want to tell you that you prepare for a very long walk and a serious one, with people who are not determined, or with the people who are not thinking of leaving the power. They can do anything under the sun to see that they remain in power. We are here with my sister here. I think we have grown fighting the Chinese government. We have grown old. I started when I was 23 years. And the Chinese have not gone. Not because they are so popular, but they use all other means other than the people power, the power of the people, to remain in power. They beat up people, they do anything. So prepare for a very long walk. Together we shall be walking until when we cannot move. For the mayoral race and the nominations which have taken place, yes, nominations have taken place everywhere. But I am worried, like my sister last was said. this word harmonization, probably people have not gotten the meaning properly. Probably they think harmonization can only be done internally in parties. It can also be done in between parties, so that we get an agreed candidate. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we are actually easing the work of Chinese party to take over the city. Because we have very strong candidates, actually 4 of them, very strong. But never play with a party which is in power. They can make their own strong in a day. I can tell you one example. In Entebbe town, Entebbe municipality, Kayanja won, but they declared the NRM candidate. The DRR forms were showing a different thing. They were declaring a different human being. Why? Because the opposition availed the opportunity for them to do it. Now here we are in Kampala, we are actually availing the opportunity for them to do anything, and then people will say, but anyway, there were many. That is why the other candidate won. That will be the first argument. Anyway, the opposition, yes, they are good, but there are many. Probably the other one won. Yes, it was not popular, but he might have gotten some votes. Probably they didn't count well. Probably you give them a chance to actually afford the opportunity they want to use. So if there is still time, probably we can still talk to our candidates in the opposition to see if we can have 1 or 2. Because also having 3 can be a strategy. You can have 3 candidates strategically. But now we have 6. Is it 6?
Yeah, 6, yeah.
They are all on the opposition. 6 against 1.
No, 5.
5
against 1
against
NRM.
1 NRM. I don't know if our people really think we are serious. The people are supporting us. I don't know whether they think this is a serious group, or they think this is a self-centered group. They feel if ours is not there, then there is no election at all. And there is that. Some parties think if theirs is not there, even if the opposition has won, they have not won. And that one is doing us very bad. So you will find that in Kampala, had we sat, we can sit, but had we sat and we say no, let us all agree we want to remain the leaders politically of Kampala. Let's agree on this one.
And you all throw your weight behind that particular candidate, yes.
If we are strategically allowing that, let us have a second one, because maybe these other ones will not vote for ours. You strategically put the third, so that these ones, instead of voting for your opponent, they vote this one. So that this one is denied the vote. Strategically, you can do that. But now we are simply running like wild pigs, just going. You want to win, everybody wants. You cannot win all the time.
But Honorable, do you think does this signal a situation where perhaps you are not talking to each other as opposition?
I was here with you, and I gave you something which I normally see in Parliament, that the people who hate each other most in Parliament, they are not NRM against opposition. They are opposition and opposition. That even when we sit up there in the restaurant to have food, you will find that an opposition member will be very comfortable sitting with the NRM, but not comfortable with the sitting
with a fellow opposition member.
Opposition. Up to now, I'm wondering what could be that big problem that they don't even want to meet each other. Probably they have talked ill too much against each other, or the politics itself has divided them so much that they don't want to join the NRM, but again they hate each other too much. So we need really to talk. If not, they are our seniors here. They can form a team, 2-3 people, to talk to our candidates before they have gone too far. The point of no return has not been reached yet. we can still talk. Another one is people fear to withdraw. People fear to withdraw. They feel, oh, their political career will be injured when they withdraw. But I think it would be a good gesture if one day you say, no, for the sake of our side, I can withdraw, so that our side can win. When I mean our side, the side on the opposing side. But if we go all of us, we might end up crying, all of us. And I don't want us to cry. So that worries me. That worries me. And it is not only here in Kampala. It is almost everywhere. You find in Mitiana, PFF has a candidate in the same position PFF has, FDC has, DP has nothing now there. NUP has against one. What do you think people will do? They say, oh, no, this group might not be serious. So I thought where you have a stronger candidate and you all agree that this one is stronger than the rest, for the sake of the group where we belong, we can agree that let us have this one. And we all support that one. All through our weight
behind that
person.
Well, thank you.
But
yes,
it is not the situation.
Engineer Cheyune, let me come to you. Your quick thoughts.
Thank you so much. I think
yellow bananas.
I think well, we'll find out if they are.
They are not red bananas that are ripe or red ones for that matter.
They are apples.
It's quite interesting that at the end of that day, we are seeing Uganda getting deeper and deeper into the sports arena. In 1997, I got the opportunity to be the first engineer to be in charge of Mandela Stadium, commonly known as Nambole. We were 64 engineers, 4 were interviewed, and I got the opportunity. That time I was the youngest. I had not reached the age of 40. They had looked for someone 40 years. But during the interview, they asked, but are you 40? I said, no. But if you are looking for someone who is 40, I'm not the one. But if you are looking for someone to do the job you advertised, I'm the best candidate. And they decided that they were actually not looking for the years. They were looking for someone who is capable.
Competence.
Yes, and indeed we did our best. But from that time, I noticed that this government, even though we had not yet had into the party issues, but had interest in sports. Can you imagine that big project was among the first projects in the first 10 years of NRM? Or of the government, which was in power that time, which means it had interest deep inside itself that we should develop this area for the purpose of the youth. And I know that the youth, many of them have gained a lot. You know how many of these youth have earned a lot of money from State House as a token to thank them for their performance. You know, these young men, the Kipusiros, and many others. And others have got opportunity to be built houses. So I want to congratulate our teams, especially the cranes, the coaches, the players, and of course the administration. We all believe that all these play together to achieve what we achieved. And most importantly, the peace in this country, which has attracted many other countries to accept that Uganda can even host other teams playing here. You know very well that Guinea, when it played here, this was not its arena, but they chose Uganda, which means we are moving somewhere. And the youth, you are here to continue to embrace this. I know our government, you know what we are doing, building in Hoima, building in many other places, preparing for 2027, which means more and more is yet to come. When I look at what is happening, me, I'm very happy about the internal checks which we are going through as government. You know, the issue of the bombs, that's an internal check. The issue of MOOBs and others, those are internal checks, which shows us that even when we are in power, we still see some challenges, and we follow them up, and they are being followed deeply through the normal system. So for people who think that NRM government does not see its mistakes, we see them and we use the formal system. So personally, I'm impressed about this, and I know it will continue to safeguard us from challenges which people always blame us. And I think sometimes they blame us correctly, and what I have to do is to correct our mistakes. When I look at the politics in the country right now, I'm worried about two things. One of them is the political tourism. I wouldn't like to use the other word which people normally use, but for the good of our nation and our young people. Political tourism has so much escalated, especially with our brothers and sisters in the opposition. And I think this has been built on the absence of a strong ideology. People do not have a strong ideology within their parties. Even those who have, I think, have not taught their people on what their ideology is all about. Because you join a party on the basis of the ideology. You don't join it on the basis of winning, that I need a card to win, and therefore you quickly run off. The Cheyunese, those of you who have seen the news, you saw me with dust. You saw me when they're making me run in the Kabaka's palace. You saw these things on television. You have seen me going through bullets on me directly. The national guns of NRM, which NRM has power, turned towards me. But I never moved away from my party. Because that had nothing to do with the ideology. The ideology I believe in is that we are talking about democracy, Pan-Africanism, we are talking about socio-economic development, and we are talking about patriotism.
So, Engineer, are you saying that the Ugandan opposition, as it is at the moment, cannot provide a credible alternative to Ugandans because of that lack of ideological grounding?
Because you can see, if someone was in DP, because there is another party which has come with some strength, they quickly abandon DP and ran to NUP, for instance. Yesterday or during this period, we are hearing the same people who are chanting very well about the same party, who gained and even sat in positions. They are busy running now. I think one of them, I've seen him running to PFF. Now, where is the basis of your political stand? Where is it? And the main thing always behind any party, it should be the ideology. If you have a strong ideology, if you have a strong belief in your ideology, then there is reason for you to go to another party and say, you have broken our original thinking. Our ideology was this. You have moved away from that ideology. That can be understood. But if you are moving away simply because of the vote, for instance, if you stand and be one of the people to be vetted to see whether you can be a flag bearer, that already shows you that you have remained in that party. I want to appreciate our sister Alaso and your team. When you saw some challenges in the FDC, you moved away before even elections came in. I think that is better. To me, that is better. NRM has moved away from the ideology. I know, my friend, we can't continue with you because you have destroyed our original thinking. But if you wait, you go into competition, you sit down, they vet you, and then finally you are busy running away. I think that is not proper. However, that doesn't mean that NRM is safe from this. It doesn't mean so. But you have seen what NRM people have done. When they are not appreciative of what is happening, they have not run to another party. Instead, they have gone independent, and when they win or they lose, one of the two happens. When they win, they go and they sign a memorandum.
The party embraces.
The party embrace. If they lose, they remain in the party formally. You were independent, but when you lose, you remain in the party. Some of them are actually in our structures, which means they are not running away from the party, but they are just aggrieved or they are just not satisfied with the decisions made during the election. That is totally different from someone who runs away from the party and says, me, I've even left the party, I'm joining another party. I call it political tourism for the sake of the public safety.
Thank you.
My view is that Ugandans must enter parties on ideological position.
Thank you very much. Let's take a break on that note, and then when we return, we continue with the conversation on whether or not party tickets are threatening internal cohesion in the 2026. Welcome. Welcome back from the break. It's 8 minutes to 10 o'clock. This is KFM VPN. We are discussing whether or not party tickets are threatening internal cohesion as we count down to the 2026 general elections. Engineer Chiyune, you've been talking about political tourism and the lack of ideological grounding, which you think is threatening the cohesion in the opposition camp especially. And I want to come to you, the opposition representatives. What Chiyune talks about, does it show self-centeredness among our leaders? Someone will say parties are made up of individuals who have their own weaknesses and their own interests, and someone walking away from a party does not see being raised. NUP has been in the spotlight for the better part of this week. We've seen accusations flying from all corners about the party asking members to actually pay for the party flags. Okay, we've seen problems. NRM, you're just coming out of a very messed up SEC elections. You're coming up from a very messed up primaries. It's been all there for the world.
That's
to
why
see.
I said we are also not very safe.
Yes, the Democratic Party. And before when we were for the break, I was telling you guys how the last 2 weeks we've had back-to-back NRM conversations. And in the last show, last Saturday, someone actually said, Kololo was a crime scene after SEC. And I heard Honorable Lumu also saying, what happened when the DP convened in Mbarara?
Yeah.
Mbarara was equally a crime scene
And
in this case. So you think it was worse than NRM?
Yes. It was worse.
Interesting. Except ANT, I have not heard what is going on in ANT. At least we've not had situations of accusations of bribery or selling the party flag. But also, to be honest, in this room, if we're talking about parties that have numbers, we have NRM, we have NUP, we have DP, and ANT does not have the numbers that these other parties have. So I don't know if that in a way is what is insulating ANT. If you had the kind of numbers that these other parties have, I don't know if your house would be any better than what we are seeing. So I would like to hear, let me start again from you, Judith, all these issues, because someone will say, well, there's no smoke without fire. We are seeing the narratives on TikTok, on social media about what is happening. Some members of the party will say, no, I've not been asked to pay money, it's merit-based. But also the questions of the vetting. How are you vetting your members? There's just no clarity on this process. The EMC alone is already a biased composition. You have people who have vested interests competing. They're contesting for elective position. How do you have someone who is contesting who wants to contest for an elective position, vetting other people with similar interests? Don't you think that alone biases people? That's already a big bias for that the party has to address and confront.
Thank you so much. Like I'd stated earlier, if what brought you in the struggle is very weak, that means what will take you out of struggle is going to be weaker. So as the opposition, as National Unity Platform, of course we've had challenges. Like you said, people have come out saying they weren't given party tickets. They've given various reasons. So we have a conflict management committee. We asked people, if you have had any challenges with how they've given out the party ticket, or you think anyone asked you for money, please report. People are not willing to report. They're going on TV talking about these things, but when we tell them, please bring evidence, report to us that we act, they do not. So how is the party supposed to believe them? Yes, they do not bring this evidence to us. So that is the question. I question these people about that. If you have evidence, please bring it, because we also want to work on our problems. If that is a problem in the party, we want to work on it going forward, because we want to deliver the best for the Ugandans. So if we're acting like that, it's not in good faith.
But Judith, the conflicted nature of your EMC, don't you think that is something that the party should have actually dealt with from the word go? How do you have members or a member who already has a vested interest? That is something that you never thought about as a party?
A member is Honorable Sewufu. I know him clearly well. It's one person. When they say members, you can think it's a whole committee, a member.
Even if it's just one,
yes,
certainly it comes with that bias already.
And in that area, he was not allowed to actually vet people in that area. He was not allowed. He vetted people from Rubaga. He's from Nakawa. So he was excused from vetting people from Rubaga. It was deliberate, because we knew he would have conflict of interest. So that is how that problem was solved. We are having challenges of, we have people who have one leg in NUP, another leg in NRM. At least if you had another leg in DP or ANT, would understand we are both opposition, so it makes sense. But we have our members, so choosing people who are legitimate for certain positions or who are not biased for certain positions is not an easy thing. Like you've seen that many people have come into positions or have come into NUP with the aim of getting the party ticket, not the aim of staying into the struggle if we do not achieve what we wanted. You've seen in South Africa, Nelson Mandela spent 20 years in prison. He didn't go to prison because he wanted a position of the presidency. He went to prison because of what he believed in the apartheid regime. So his belief in removing apartheid was bigger than him being a president. That is why he was able to withstand being in prison for 20 years. That is what we tell our party members, that yes, we want to change government. We want to change what we are facing in Uganda. But this is not a sprint. You do not expect that it's going to happen today or tomorrow. So we have to be resilient until it eventually happens. So when you don't get a party ticket and you leave the party because I haven't gotten a party ticket, then you're not the Nelson Mandela. You're not willing to stand there until we topple government. Why it's easier for NRM, which I will not blame them. For them, they have other positions to give out. Even if you do not get the party ticket, they can make you an ambassador. They can make you a commissioner. There are so many positions they can give, which we the oppositions don't have that on our side. Once you don't get the party ticket, you're not primed for any position. But most importantly, leadership is not shown by having a position. You are a leader without a position or not. People have seen me for the past 5 years. I've made a stand on certain things here and there. People have known me for that. Did I have a party ticket? Did I have any position in the NUPP party? No, I didn't.
Okay, but from your own experience, did anyone ask you for money for the flag?
No, no one asked me for money. So for me, I didn't have any of that.
But have you heard concerns from other members of your party saying, look, so-and-so asked me to pay a certain amount of money before I can secure the party flag?
Yes, I have had those concerns. Actually, I have talked to some of those people because for me, I'm a leader, I have to reach out. And I tell them, please, just bring the evidence. We want to work on those issues. Like I told you, in any community or society where there is more than one person, there is always conflict. Some conflict which is man-made, some conflict is not even real. It's just, you just think of something and people say it. So we're like, bring evidence, let's work on it. Let's clean ourselves, let's iron the problems in our party. But when you ask for evidence, they do not have. So I'm like, how am I supposed to deal with someone? You're saying this person asked you for money. You don't have evidence that they asked for money. So how do I even approach them? So, but as a party, we have a conflict resolution committee, and they're going to deal with those challenges. I'm sure anytime soon, they're going to call all our party members who didn't get tickets so that we can have a conversation on what happened in the allocation of tickets, what happened, who didn't get, what grievances. We want to hear from them. What do they have? And for me, what I expect from a leader, if you don't get a party ticket, you don't run to media. What you first do is deal with it internally. Address the leaders within the party. But if for you your first resolution is running to media, then you have a challenge as a person.
Okay.
Yes.
So the other thing that is also contested is also having senior members of your party who are equally contesting, like your Secretary General and many others, and using the kind of influence they have in their power in the party to box out other contenders. And also the other one is the 60-40 percentage that the party is giving in its vetting. 60% is the EMC, right? And then 40% is on the ground. How are you gauging? How do you arrive at this 40%? There is not much clarity on how this is being done. And when people come up with these concerns, I think they're actually valid. How do you gauge 40% popularity on the ground? What's the criteria for that?
40% is vetting.
And 60% is on the ground.
Exactly.
Yes. So how do you arrive at the conclusion that someone is popular on the ground? What is the vet? What is the criteria?
Of course, there is a committee that was set up. Actually, there is a company which I will not mention. They are the ones who are doing private-owned company. We contracted them, and they are doing for us that groundwork. What they do is, we set for them rules that this is what you have to do, this is what we are looking for. What they do is they go on ground, and they ask different people, how is this person doing? What do you know about them? What have they, if they are incumbent? Actually, incumbents are subjected to even more scrutiny. Yes, more scrutiny, because you've been working, you've been a leader in that area. So the questions about them are very, very. We really need to know from the people, how have they worked with you? Do they come back to check on you? Do they come back to understand what your problems are? And when you give them your problems, do they show the leadership that they need to show? So that is what they have been doing. Actually, those people have, when they reach the ground, in my area, I actually have some people who called me like, Judith, we've seen that we've been walking on the street and they found us and they asked us about this candidate and this one.
So I just want to know some of the questions. What are some of the questions they are asking people on the ground?
I'm not part of the EMC, so I'm not in the right position to reveal that.
So why I'm asking this is we also see a populace that is very ignorant about the roles of members of parliament, okay? And these are politicians.
Actually, all
the expectation that you're supposed to build roads, roof their houses, and so on. So we know what the roles of a legislator are. That's why I was curious to understand what exactly are they asking these people? Because if I'm a voter and I'm thinking my MP should pave a road for me or build a road for me,
give me condolences,
exactly, then certainly you're going to get the wrong responses. But I think we'll come to that later. Honorable Alaso, ANT, how is it handling? First of all, where are you then fielding candidates?
I think first of all, I'll start by providing a response to Engineer Cheyune.
Okay.
Because I don't want this
to forget some of the issues that you had noted from his submission earlier. Yes.
Engineer Cheyune argues the usual angle of the NRM of ideology. That the rest do not have ideological grounding, and therefore the NRM is. I want it to be noted that it is the NRM precisely that has decided to base its leadership on the politics of survival. Survival politics. You have reduced everything, whether parliamentary membership, as long as the people are there and they don't make the decisions for this country, but they can survive, that is okay. When I was in parliament, you would even pay money, they would distribute money in some offices against a bill. So that is not about ideology. The ideology engineer is talking about something on paper. But the real nature and content of politics in Uganda, for a majority of players, has become politics of survival. Can I enter that space? And when I enter that space, can I draw a salary? Can I draw influence? That is why when they say Kololo became a crime scene, it spoke to political survival. Why would people cane people even before the president in order to do a voluntary job of being a propagandist, just talking that NRM is Pan-African? Why would people pay out billions of money? So we are in a very critical stage, in a critical junction. That violence there, the amount of money that is paid out to become a leader in this country, whether to win an election, the way money is distributed, even for the president himself, let me tell you, nobody has been spared this. When the final voting comes on the D-Day, the people who come giving money on account for President Museveni give out in 50s, in hundreds. It is politics of survival, period. It's not politics of ideology. Secondly, it should also be noted that part of the instability, or the bulk of the instability you see in the opposition, is the handwork of the NRM. I mean, that is what Honorable Lumu is crying foul about. We cried foul about it when we were still in Najana Nkumbi, and so on and so forth. But that one, at least, you will argue, and anybody will argue that you will be happy to destabilize us to whatever extent so that you can survive. Dr. Judith here has just said that there were some people who she doesn't even know whether they are NUP their NRM. Maybe you sponsored them. So we don't need to lose cognizance of the fact that there are those elements. And more importantly, really, and I think that we should really keep this in mind, the atmosphere in which we operate. We can argue ideology or lack of it, but the current situation in Uganda is basically that even if you tell people we are center left or center right or whatever ideology, anything, what we are looking at, all of us collectively in Uganda, are things of daily bread for ordinary Ugandans. You're looking at jobs for young people. You're looking at drugs, the absence of which in hospitals. You're looking at intern doctors who cannot be paid. You're looking at all these things, bad roads, potholes in the city and all that. So it is no longer even about ideology. It is just about salvaging the country from the grip of the NRM, which is really sinking the country. It is about how can we rescue Uganda even from family rule, because that's where we are going. That's what we see. That's what we see. That's the shaping. That's how you are shaping it even in Kololo. We could read it. We could feel it. That's the direction. So once we've looked at that, then I think we'll also look at the context. What is our context? Can the opposition even in this country get out? If you tell Ugandans now about your ideological leaning, is that their priority? It certainly is not. You talk about Kampala and you go to Bwaise here, and you're talking to them about, we are liberal or we are what? And water.
We are Pan-African.
Oh, Pan-African. And water is sinking. The flood is sinking people. What is Pan-Africanism plus these floods that happen in Nakawa? Engineer, we from Wakisi. People drown there on the road. So what is ideology? People first want to be safe before they can sit on table and think about ideology. They are entering water channels in a capital city. So I think there is a problem in this country and we need to get our priorities right. You talked about ANT.
But also you're a flag bearer now for Serere County. So we also want to understand how, because we're talking about internal, how the party is actually handing flags to us. How is your party handling that?
I am, but let me first talk about generally party cards. This thing called harmonization, I think the ANT doesn't patent their products. We are the first people who did that harmonization thing in 2021 election. We didn't patent it. If we had patented, maybe we would now be saying, give us, we have a copyright on this. But why did we do that? We didn't have the capacity to do party primaries. We had just been put in place, and then there were not committees, but then we had candidates. So we rolled out a clear mechanism. And I think that's where parties that have adopted the harmonization in a blanket way have missed it. When you do harmonization, there are key tenets that parties should have put in place. One, they should have put in place a clear checklist that is known to Judith and known to Dr. Judith, that this is the checklist for harmonization. They should have put in place mechanisms for transparency. Let everybody know that the process is being handled in a very transparent manner. They should have put in place, because this is what we did. You never had us that time. We had people, even the other day, okay, I'll conclude with this. They should have put in place mechanisms for engagement. So if you decide that finally you are taking in Alice Alaso, what is your engagement mechanism with the other person you are not taking? Because it is not proper for us to sit here and then decide, okay, we are taking a lasso. How are you going to engage the other person, and on what ground? So what we would do, what harmonization requires, is that you reach a point where you have both the Judiths in the room and you are able to transparently communicate with them and say, this is our feedback. We've decided on this because Judith, our team, is capable of handling this. And for you, we think this. And we propose even this for you. So that people own the process. If the ones you've not elected, the ones you've not given the flag, do not own that decision, you're likely to have them running outside the party as independents or looking for another political home. And then there should be the final one. The final one is if all this fails, and you really know these are your members, because it's also dangerous to conclude that I am not a member on the day I want the flag, when I have been with you for years. You needed to have made that conclusion earlier. So on the final one, you may have to take a vote. And we did that just yesterday. We also ran harmonization, but for a certain group of LC5 councillors, we finally reached a point where we said, if all this has failed, let the team sit down. They took a vote and they got one that they wanted. So that is how harmonization works. Harmonization is important if you have an institutional mechanism.
Honorable, but are you fielding more candidates at the local government level, or you're going across the board up to national level? Because I only see you for Serere. I don't know which other candidates you fielded for MP positions.
No, we have not yet put out our list for MPs.
The process is still on.
Okay. But it is just the local governments. And of course, we do not have the resources. Part of the reason people are dying for these flags is that they know that some political parties have the money to sponsor their candidature. The people who come to ANT are people who are being asked, actually, if you believe in these values, can you sponsor even yourself? And that is why it is a hard ground for us, for lack of resources. When people are dying to go to the NRM, they know that when they win, they will be given 300 million. And I believe that, yes.
Engineer is smiling.
Yes.
I wish it was happening because...
I actually thought you were endorsing and saying, yeah, we're actually giving 300 million.
I'm actually praying that her statement comes true because I've never seen it.
Okay.
But for the party, as we do harmonization, one, we first of all want to ensure that institutional mechanisms come into play. 2, they are transparent. 3, that the party is preserved. Right now, you are talking about numbers. I've told you our present challenge, but also in ANT we look at the character of leadership. It's a critical thing in ANT. We don't even if you come with your 10 billion and you are off character, we will not give you that ticket. I can promise you. Because if we cannot manage your behavior now when you are out of power, when we transit to power with you, you'll become a nightmare for the nation. So we are doing everything to manage individuals first out of power. And then we'll manage ourselves when
so that the power doesn't manage them. Thank you. Honorable Richard Lumu. Yes, you're I don't know where you belong, because yes, you're not officially with the DP.
I belong to Uganda.
You are seeking re-election, though. So you're running as an independent?
Yes, that's true. I'm running.
Are you leaning anywhere in particular?
Independence is independence.
No, in Uganda, that's what there's an NRM leaning, there's an NUP, there's an opposition leaning.
No, I'm completely independent. I decided that I should be independent of everyone. I'm independent. Whoever wants to support me can support me, but I'm independent, and I'm very clear on that. Now, there was a party in Ghana which used to belong to the former president, Kwame Nkrumah. That party was wiped out now. They don't even have a LC3 councillor, if I talk in terms of Uganda. So you can be as strong as anything one time, and with no time, you disappear off the scene. I was here when Besigye was coming in 2011. The strongest party before Besigye, other than the NRM, was DP. And I think Honorable Lasso was there in, by then it was called Conference Center.
Serena now.
Serena now.
Mm-hmm.
When Dr. Samuel Gerere endorsed Dr. Kizza Besigye, it was out of harmonization that for now you can be a better suitable candidate than myself. So let us all support you. And it came out very, very, very positive. And that is how Besigye gained the greatest ground I've never seen before. Because there was harmonization and understanding each other, and the script where we were reading was clear for each and everyone to read. Now, to go back to Kwame Nkrumah's party, the mistakes which opposition parties are making today is one reason why that party was wiped out. Because they thought they have the ground, as the word now goes these days, we have the ground. They thought they had the ground. The people thought the voters, they did not think the way they were thinking. They thought, oh, they will go and talk to the people, they have the ground. When they went to the ground, it was different reading. the Kasoma Maji, I think, it was Kasoma Maji. There's that song now. The Kapande was reading otherwise. So they ended up losing completely. So this thing of parties having numbers, those things can change. In 2011, for Besigye to move from Nambole to Kampala, I think it took him the whole day just to move, to come to Kampala. It is those people who are supporting Besigye who have now changed the course. Now they are all noob. Tomorrow another person can appear and those same people can now support a different person. If I go to the ideology part of it, I don't think those people are actually following ideology.
So as an independent, what ideology are you following?
Wait a minute, before I come there. Those people are following who can solve the problem. Who can solve it? Because they have the problem. The problem, I mean all problems. I will term it as the problem. They have that problem. The question is, who can solve it? Is it Besigye? Okay, let us all move with Besigye if he can solve it. Is it Bobby Wine? Let us move with him if he can solve it. So if they find is not solving, they will identify another person. So ideology thing might not really be very helpful in Uganda. It is who can solve the problem. If you don't have food at home, if you don't have a job, and then someone is very busy there, talking eloquently how good the...
You can't relate. You can't relate, yeah.
This man mad. I'm
we have
dying.
to go to Congo and stop wars when I don't have what
I don't have a job. So who can solve the job problem? The farmer is not thinking of a job. He's thinking his crops have gotten bad pesticides. The government is allowing in all kinds of pesticides. And when they spray their gardens, the gardens are dying. Who can solve that problem? The road users are looking at bad spare parts. You buy a spare part, tomorrow the vehicle is broken. Who can solve that problem? That is the politics in Uganda. The things of Pan-Africanism, what? It is for elite. It is not for everyday person. And who is the voter? The voter is the everyday person. One day I was passing by Bwaise. It rained heavily that day. And you know what happened? President Museveni was coming from Entebbe, trying to cross to the other side. I don't know why he uses that route. He can use another one. I don't know which one. Other than blocking us for like 2 hours. So the water was flowing like River Nile itself.
Okay.
On that, I don't know whether it is a stream or what. The levels had risen, the waters were flowing. Now there was this man, Boda man, trying to save his cycle so that it is not taken by water. The police told him not to touch it. The thing started flowing because they were protecting the president who was passing. This one doesn't even care
about the survival of
about the survival of the president. His bread is being driven away by water. So who can solve this problem that the water does not take another cycle? That is the problem. That is the politics today, which we should look at. Now, going back to which ideology, as you are, if you are independent, the ideology is yours. Now mine you have now known. Me, I really want to see how we solve the problems of Ugandans, not how best the ideology can be articulated. I am telling you, even these people in the NRM, they don't know NRM ideology. They don't know at all. It is only one person who knows the NRM ideology.
His ideology.
These are just followers. They're actually going where they don't know. They are simply taken. Today it can be Cheyune. He was a chairman and he was loved. The president was talking about him. I have not heard about him saying, oh, this man knows my ideology. After the 5 years, where is he? Until he brought himself back. So it's not ideology of the NRM.
Just one last question, Honorable, before I move to Engineer Cheyune. So with this growing number of independents, whether it's in, let's talk about the opposition right now. There's a thinking that multipartism is actually slowly dying. I don't know if you agree to that kind of sentiment.
I think I agree. I agree. What happened in my party, if I can see my party in 2011 and where it is now, if it is a patient, that patient will be in ICU, just awaiting if he survives or the doctor declares him dead completely. And it's not only in my party, it is even in the NRM. The only problem, the only difference between my party and the NRM, theirs is a rich, sick person. So the people who are waiting to inherit are the ones saying, no, he's not about to die, he's okay. And when the doctor comes out, will just say, you be patient, he's surviving. Just the man is on supporting machines, life supporting machines. They are also dying. And I can tell you authoritatively here, God forbids, if President Museveni today dies, you'll never hear that there is any NRM, because he will die with his ideology. When you go to FDC, it is like my party. If you go to UPC, it is equally, they are all in ICU. If you go to NUP, what is happening in NUP, when you see those quarrels going on, those are symptoms of a sick person. He starts scratching here and there, and then he's not looking at people well, he's limping, he's what? So the heart is not pumping well. The person will start quarreling. Am I okay? But now for us, we have seen those. We know where you are going. You are going to be sick. You are also going to be in ICU. So the parties at one time, they will cease to exist. They will remain on paper. But Museveni's word or Museveni's system is actually very busy doing that. Lastly is this. Independence. There is a new wave coming in Uganda of independence. And I'm very sure in the next parliament, the independents might be even more than the NRMs, or more than the opposition. Today, no party has a number better than the independents on opposition. They are like 97. So no party, no political party on the opposition has such numbers. They are 97. So next time, 2026, you will see independents having about 200, because the opposition has, the NRM has, all independents. Probably from the independents, another party will be created.
Thank you. Engineer, let's come to you. the thinking is your party has only one person with a vision and one person who understands the ideology. Do you know the ideology of your party?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Do you believe?
Very well.
Do you believe in those in that ideological grounding or assumption or underpinning of your party?
Of course, as you know, we have been here for 40 years with that ideology. And all our colleagues who are building up new parties and so on, they are beneficiaries of this. We had a period when we had a president who ruled us from 71 to 79 with no democracy. We had a president who came into power as a prime minister, turned himself into a president, ruled us for the first term, then he came for the second round. But there was no any opportunity to prepare elections. So where would the parties get the opportunity, the interest to stand and even compete and so on? So one of our kingpin in our ideology is democracy. All these people are surviving on that democracy. Actually, even choosing to go independent is part of your democracy, that you are also allowed to continue and contest without saying, if you are not in a party, then you can't contest. It's part of the democracy. And that's one of our kingpin. So when we talk about the ideology, we're actually saying, do I have an opportunity to stand? 15 years ago, I left the leadership of Wachiso district. People have always been saying, Ian, come back. When I tried, there was this fracas. I didn't go through. And I went home, continued with my work. People continued to say, knock on my door. Come back, you did more. You did better. And here I am. Now I came in, we went through the process, whatever the exercise, and I'm now the flag bearer, fully nominated to stand as a chairperson for Wachiso district. And fortunately, NUP has also nominated one. PFF, I hear, is it PFF, has also nominated a lady. Gender balance is coming in Wachiso. So we are going to battle three of us. You can see that level of democracy. Now, we have just talked about our success in football, for instance. Don't you see that Pan-Africanism coming in? Only look at it from this issue of the sports. We are hosting, we hosted Chan as East Africa, part of East Africa, actually, the countries. We are also continuing in 2027. We are also coming in here for the same. Now, what does that show? That our Pan-Africanism, we have helped our neighbors. Southern Sudan had issues. You see the presidents from those countries coming here. Somalia, they came here. Congo, they have been coming here. And many others. Why? They are looking at our ideology of looking at sister countries within Africa. And I think this is one way of, opening up an opportunity for us to work as a team in order to solve our challenges. Because people think that when NRM comes into power, it will switch on like putting on a switch and poverty goes. No. Poverty can be seen to go through a number of issues. How many hearts are still in our environment, in our areas? They are still there, but how many? Haven't we seen the numbers dropping down? Haven't we seen numbers of people who are sleeping on grass now dropping down and more people are sleeping on better mattresses? Haven't we seen our younger boys? I started Border Border here, one of the jobs. That word Border Border is a word of my mouth. And I started it from our village. Now I can see how many youth, how many families are surviving on these borders. But the issue is not the job. But the issue is...
shouldn't we be doing better 40 years down the road? Should we still be celebrating a border economy?
I can tell you, all economies in this world have not survived on big things. Some economies have survived only on bread.
Like which one?
Well, if you want that, that can be another day. I can assure you, all economies, there are economies which have survived on rice. There are economies which have survived on
fish. But rice is an export commodity.
What I'm trying to show you is that don't go for big things to assume that that's what will make you better. That's why even rich people are not surviving on big things. When I was working with Karim Hirij, the first time as his engineer on some of his factories. He was busy in his small shop selling impande, what do we call it, pieces of cloth to make trousers himself. But he's a billionaire now. Many other people whom you see here who are billionaires don't start with big things, but the country is focused. For instance, our thinking is that we look at infrastructure that can help this country to move away. We had one dam for all those 20 years. But how many do we have now? More electricity is being put on the grid, on the national grid. Other than that one, hydro, we're also looking at other sources of electricity. Road infrastructure in terms of roads. You have seen what has been done. Of course, people don't appreciate it because some of them, their roads which are reaching their homes are still maram and so on. But look at national interests. We are talking about roads going to borders. Most of our people can now cross to the next borders in order to transact business with these people. And I think this is one area which some people have totally benefited. So what am I saying? Ideology is like looking at an egg. If you misunderstand the egg, then you will not eat the chicken, neither next egg. You should know that inside that ideology, you can develop many things. For instance, when I talk about democracy, that's what we are going through now. My sister from Serere, you know Serere was formed when I was around. My brother Otekat comes from Serere. I visited him. I know Serere. She's coming back.
We are about to go for a break, but before we do that, I'd also like to ask you. Honorable Lumu says multipartyism is dying. You know, it's in life support. But your party is no better either. However, you have, as we go into the coming elections, you have the advantage of incumbency. And so when you talk to also some members of the party, of your party, the thinking is that this is going to be perhaps a more easier election for NRM to win because of the state of opposition right now.
Well, personally, I think there's nothing to look at as a weak opposition. I don't look at it from that angle. What I can say is that we must be competitive enough to win. For instance, in my district, I'm looking at reconciliation. I'm coming in to reconcile these people who have been disturbed by this political animal for a long time. When I was there, I worked with everybody. All parties were on my executive.
So are you saying the current leadership has isolated some people in your...
You can see these people, when I left, they were DP. They could not contain DP for more than 10 years. They crossed to NOP. Now I hear people are surviving just by the weakest part of the week. What does it mean? It means there is a need for reconciliation. Secondary, these people whom we are thinking that they are weak, they are still standing in these positions. In other words, they are incumbents. If they are incumbent, we are not ready to just take them as weak people. Instead, we have to talk to them, talk to the people, show them what we are doing, so that if there were any mistakes, they can be corrected. My view is NRM will win when they present themselves well. And that's what I want to do to the people of Wachiso. Not to say that the opposition is weak. No.
Okay.
I don't believe in that.
Thank you. When we come back from the break, the opposition, this is a question for you. Do you think the NRM is partly responsible for the disarray or the demobilization of the opposition parties as we see today? That's 20 minutes to 11 o'clock. Welcome back from the break. You're still listening to KFM VPN as we continue with our discussion on whether or not party tickets are threatening internal cohesion in the run-up to the 2026 general elections. So the next question is, has the ruling party intentionally or strategically demobilized the opposition to advance its own agenda? Judith, you've taken long without. Let me come back to you, and then we move back to Honorable Alaso.
As I answer this question, first of all, I would like to mourn with Honorable Lumu because he has been with DP for a long time and he believed in it a lot. But given what has happened with the past election in DP...
Sorry, Judith, Honorable Lumu is telling me he needs to run somewhere rather urgently. So I'll give you 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, and we come back to you.
I'm very sorry. I think I need to leave, but there's no question about it. The NRM is actually dispersing all parties. It wants to remain alone. If people can take and read what is in North Korea, that's what they want to create here. That is why in their election, they are phasing out all the so-called big people in quotes, and then a new
The old guard.
Yeah, the new team is
guard.
coming in so that they can take over, the sun can take over without any disturbances. So I want to allow you to allow me to
Thank you.
leave.
Thank you, Honorable Richard
My
Lumu.
colleagues, I'm very happy to be here.
Thank
with
you. We appreciate you for your time and your insights. We hope to have you again some other time. So, Dr. Judith, I'm giving you the mic now.
Yes, as I was still saying, with
You wanted to mourn with,
with Honorable
Dr.
Lumu.
Yes.
What is happening in opposition of late is that NRM no longer recruits into NRM because they feel like their party is full. What they do is they use people in the opposition. They are donned into opposition colors, but they are basically NRM, and that is what they're doing with Mao. So, and that is why DIP is where it is right now at the moment. So for us, other opposition political parties, we see what is happening and we are trying to safeguard ourselves from what is happening. And that is what happened in FDC as well. I think Honorable also knows with Anita Among and other characters. What NRM does is they get particular individuals, they sponsor them to cause this chaos within those political parties. So if you do not be keen enough to be aware of what is happening, that is what leads to the fall of these political parties. Because if you heard or you listened critically to what Kadaga said about Honorable Anita Among on her speech to be elected as a SEC member, she clearly stated it that Anita Among was working under NRM but in FDC. She clearly stated it. So she's not stupid to state that for me, I have been loyal and I have done all these things, but because you are using some agent in another party and now she has crossed to our party, you think they deserve and they belong here. So for me, we are aware that NRM sponsors actually puts up big sums of money to disorganize the opposition. So we as the opposition, that's why we develop these tactics here and there. Not having primaries is not because we don't want. We really love primaries because primaries give you the coverage that these other means of selecting candidates can't give you, because primaries give you national coverage across the country. We want that. But when you look at the infiltration that can happen with the primaries, it is an easy way of NRM infiltrating into our political parties.
Yeah, but they can still infiltrate even with the kind of system or process that you're having right now.
Exactly, they can, but we do not want to give them an easy way. So some of these are protective mechanisms. So we are dealing with the context of where we are today as Ugandans. And then what we tell Ugandans is that regardless of this infiltration, the revolution we are having is not the revolution of opposition, it's the revolution of the people. Like we said, people are looking for what to eat. People are looking for survival. What am I going to feed my children? How am I going to take them to school the next day? If they get sick, am I going to be able to afford the hospital bills? Because when you look at Mulago, I'm a medical doctor. I studied for Mulago for 4 years. Actually 5 years, if I can add, because the first year is basically theory. For 5 years I was in Mulago, but the conditions in Mulago, to the extent that even when you don't have money, you fear to go to Mulago, even when some of the things are free. So that is what people are looking at, that if I get sick, can I be able to pay 5,000 for paracetamol? They're not looking at ideology, they're not looking at whether Museveni is disorganizing opposition or what. So the revolution we are fronting as the opposition is not a revolution for us, but we are just leading the people into change, the change that they deserve. Because even when you look at those big countries, democracies that have developed over time, the USA's, the Britain and all that, they started with providing for survival of their people. Before you start discussing the politics and all what, do I have what to eat today, is the first question. Those democracies have developed over 200 years. We have not yet reached there. So for me, what is in for the people is, one is, can they afford the basic survival of health, food, education? That is what is important to these political parties, regardless of what happens elsewhere.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Alaso.
Thank you very much. I first of all want to tell Dr. Judith, I've always told Judith here, that me, I don't talk about my uncle's daughter, the speaker. She's my uncle's daughter, so I don't talk about her so that we don't have a family fight at home. But I know that the issues in the FDC started not the speaker. No. It was the NRM directly disorganizing us from the election in Lugogo in 2012 and giving us a secretary general who was a sellout. But that aside, I don't talk about my uncle's daughter. I only talk about institutions so that we don't clash in the next family clan meeting. Okay. But
as a family member, I think it is also your responsibility to check your own members and let them know where they are not, where they are doing a disservice to the country.
That's why I said we talk about it at the family level and at the family level.
No, for me, I love the disclaimer.
It is fine. Yes. So let's talk about that demobilization now.
You are the one who said this. But let me first address, I always don't want things to go unresponded to. When Engineer Cheyune talks about Amin and the Obote government and how they are Pan-African and Nambole, I hope you know that President Idi Amin was perhaps the best fellow at promoting sports in this country.
I know.
Yeah. So you cannot now lay claim on that and say you've done a better job when just a few minutes ago we were crying our athletes go untrained to develop the Kapchora high altitude training grounds. It took a lot of begging and pleading in Parliament as though those young people training in Kapchora were just the children of something. They would cross to Kenya to do training under this Pan-African thing that you're talking about. So for me, I really don't think you've done enough for sports in this country. Just, promising the footballers that you give them 200 million each is not enough. We want to see real investments in sports. Thank God anyway, AFCON has come, and because of AFCON, the image of Uganda is glaring publicly that it is forcing us to work on Kibwa, work on Hoima, work on Nambole, even Nambole to get a facelift. Engineer Ian, the last time Nambole was worked on was the time you worked on it. For Nambole to get a facelift, it's because Uganda doesn't want to look very ugly on that day when we will be playing. So we've had to invest in Nambole. We demand of government to invest more in sports because of the demographics in this country. Secondly, I think there are areas where we miss President Amin and we miss President Obote. The level of corruption in your government is horrible. You would never think about broad daylight robbery during those two regimes. No, it was unheard of. Even if you read the archives through and through, the level of corruption now is horrible. And then the way you would want us to understand democracy as routine elections is also unacceptable. Just the whole governance question is being pushed away, and then you think that because in 2005 we'll have another election, 2025 there will be another election.
Ritualistic
things about elections, when the real quality, credibility and legitimacy of our election is dwindling by the day, including your own internal processes in the NRM. That should tell you that we are not on a good democratic path. We are not on a good governance path. If anything, what we are doing is to create a recipe for instability, where so many Ugandans are going away when they are discontented by outcomes, and that is not good for our own stability as a country. And then I hope you know the national count enumerator, UBOS, recently, the
2024, the housing census, national housing census,
tells you that the levels of poverty in this country, what they call multidimensional poverty, basing on indicators of health, indicators of education, indicators of general well-being, 57.2% are living under multidimensional poverty. Busoga is in trouble. Karamoja is in trouble. It has all the minerals you think, but they would rather put the ore on a truck and carry the thing to Kampala Cement Factory. Deny all the children of Karamoja an opportunity even to earn bread. That is the kind of management. Look at the sugar cane in Mississauga. That's the kind of management these 40 years of the NRM have put to us, making us. I said earlier that Uganda is one of the best pieces on planet Earth. It's a very beautiful and a very rich country. But with the quality of leadership we have now, with the greed and the character of leadership we have now, the rest of the country has become paupers. A very few, a handful of people. You see that border economy. The border economy of hand to mouth is really not what a government worth its name should be boasting about in 40 years. The argument here is that the economy has expanded. We are exploring oil. We are exporting this and the other. It would mean that we would have created an opportunity and an environment where these Ugandans would be exploiting their creativity. The world is going into...
Honorable Alaso, we have 4 minutes to go. And I need you to wind up so that engineer responds.
The world is going into IT, AI, and we are still boasting about a border economy for graduates, for doctors, and what, with the highest cost of tarmac in the world per kilometer, with a standard gauge that is not kicking off, and the one of Tanzania is mesmerizing us. Let me tell you, NRM has killed the dignity of Ugandans and reduced us to begging.
Thank you.
I once read something, let me conclude with the title of this tract, that communism devours its own. NRM has become like communism. It is devouring the country.
Thank you. Engineer Chiyune, if you could respond on the material deprivation that is so widespread in the country. And the thinking, I mean, I think Honorable Alaso would also agree with this. We hear this about earlier. People running to NRM for political survival because they are so materially deprived, because poverty has been weaponized, that politics becomes an attractive venture for them. Your response?
Well, I'm so grateful to see the brains. When I came in, I said, so privileged to be with Alaso here. That lady always inspires me. And she has continued to do the same. You can see how she really moved the agenda deeply into this discussion and almost brought us to think that NRM has done nothing. That kind of brain is what I want. But to be in the truth, what we are all talking about is that we are developing a younger democracy in this country. When this young lady here is talking, you can see the younger democracy of this country, because people were deprived of this opportunity. When it started now 20 years ago, you can see what we are going through is just the usual system which builds after some time. I know later on people will appreciate what we are doing now. We are going through this kind of break off and on, but time will come when people will concentrate. Because I would say, what do opposition have to say about democracy? When internally, when they get problems, they don't solve them democratically. Instead, they go apart. You have heard about DA. ANT itself, it was the first split. Even the remaining FDC split into PFF. And many others. DP is just hanging on other people's parties. But if they were strong enough, they would have already split themselves into another party. So you can see, democracy cannot be built in one day, but it can be seen to be done by those people who remain fixed and focused on the areas of democracy. Secondly, I want to think that every party is working hard to achieve a better personal character from another party. This is like a sports. My younger sister
Dr.
here talked about Dr. Jude talked about Arsenal. She's a lover. I'm Manchester United.
I am Cranes. Me, Cranes.
Patriotism.
Of course. So when you look at these sports teams, every day they are benching for a better player from another team. So what we are doing in politics, we want this Dr. Judith. When I was looking at her, I said, next time I'm going to lobby for this young lady. I lobbied for many of them, and I got them into NRM. Yes, we got many from DP. When I was there, the chairperson of the youth that time was a DP, Mr. Bukenya. But now he's with us. He's in NRM. Many other people. Of course, what we do always is to make sure that we attract people. We are not buying them, because you can't buy Ian Cheyunan to take him. You can't. You can't. Why? Because I must actually appreciate their ideology. Whereas I join them, whereas I work with them, but I must know where I stand. But internally, we should agree that every party is doing its best to pull the best people from the other party in order to appreciate the fact that democracy is about working with numbers. The time you sleep and you don't recruit from other parties, then how will you build your party? Your party hemorrhage is actually your fault. So the best way is always to look around. So when you see NRM looking from all these other parties, it's not a crime. It's actually the game that you should get numbers, and you can only get them from other parties. Otherwise, there is very little in suspense.
Thank you.
But however, this is
we have less than a minute to go, engineer.
And this is my conclusion.
Okay, please.
My view is that, Atim, I help you with this time for the qualitative leap forward.
I love to read.
This book will help you to understand.
Time for the qualitative leap forward by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Exactly.
This is my weekend reading.
And you read it so that you can know what she has been talking about. Going into the oil industry, going into the manufacturing in automobiles,
40 years later,
phones and so on.
Thank you very much. Dr. Judith Nalukwago, I'll give you the mic for just 30 seconds to conclude, and then we wrap up the discussion.
But don't forget the Wachiso people, which I thank for my vote, and I'm also ready.
Thank you, Engineer.
Thank you so much. And one, I would address my people of Machinde and the Ugandans at large. First of all, Engineer Cheyune, I cannot come to the NRM. One, I cannot come to a party that abducts people of my age. These people get out of their houses early in the morning to go and work and feed their families, feed their wife, feed young children, and you abduct them. Personally, I cannot join such a party because it's not pro-people and it doesn't work for people. I cannot join a party that says, the NRM published that they have made 4,000 kilometers of road for 40 years. That means every year you build 100 kilometers of road. Do you know what that means? That is the worst underachievement I've ever seen in my life. So, for me,
at a very high cost per kilometer,
exactly
the highest in the world, literally.
So, you can't want to recruit me and turn me into a propagandist. Basically, when they recruit you into an NRM, you cannot do anything. You just become.
It's time for news. It's time for us to go to news. But thank you very much. We'll have we'll have you another time. Honorable Alice Alaso, Honorable Richard Lumu, who's left us, Dr. Judith Nalukwago, and Engineer Ian Cheyune. Thank you very much for being part of the discussion. And to you who's been listening, thank you. We did not open our phone lines today, but we'll do that next time, hopefully. We've been discussing whether or not party tickets are threatening internal cohesion in the run-up to the 2026 general elections. My name is Judith Atim. I'm your host. This is KFM VPN. We'll be back next Saturday. Do join us then. For now, it is a happy weekend to you all. News is next.
VPN. Views, people, and news. VPN. Only on 933 KFM.
933 KFM just leveled up your listening experience. We now have a WhatsApp line and a group where you can share your thoughts, shout-outs, songs directly with us. You can reach us on 074-703-2192. Join our WhatsApp channel through the link posted on our X and Facebook page.
Heading out before